Welcome to the fifth edition of the Otero Family History Podcast, where we discuss Arizona history, review genealogy research tips, and explore the history of the Otero family of Tubac. Today is Sunday, March 5th, 2017. I'm your host, Diana DeLugan, Otero Family Historian. This broadcast is coming from my home office in Metro Phoenix near the South Mountain Radio Towers. This past week on March 1st, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the release of the iconic Dr. Seuss sensation titled The Cat in the Hat. It was released to bookstores on March 1st, 1957. It's a book that even now continues to entertain the young at heart. Well, on this fifth Otero Family History Podcast, we'll first browse Arizona headlines 100 years ago today to rediscover our collective past. Second, we'll touch on a useful genealogy resource available through the BYU Family History Library. This will be followed by a brief segment on Otero family history where we learn about the Otero family matriarch, Maria Clara Martinez de Otero. Finally, we'll wrap up today's show with an Arizona history moment on the first railroads of Arizona. Oh, there's so much to talk about, so let's get started right away. "100 years ago," Arizona headlines read, "Tucson Mayor is cleaning up town." The Copper Era and Morenci leader reported that Tucson Mayor O.C. Parker physically led a posse of city and county officers on a raid of 5 alleged disorderly houses in town and 3 gambling dens in the Chinese Quarter. There was only 1 arrest, and the rest of the individuals who were rounded up were let loose with the promise that they would be good in the future. The mayor said the intent of the raid was not to make arrests. Rather, it was intended to show all undesirable characters that they mean business and frighten them so that they will either leave the city or become good citizens. The raids took place at 136, 144, and 146 West Broadway near the Drachman School, in addition to the Chinese dens. Mining was also booming in Arizona. According to the Mojave County Miner, the headlines read, "Camp of Ajo is coming to front." Just 1 mile from the town of Ajo, the Ajo Cornelia Mining Camp had boomed to 4,000 persons. A diamond drill was pending and anticipated to sink the Ajo mining shaft to 500 feet. In addition, the Ajo mine had blocked out tonnage of 42 million and yielded over 20,000 of high-grade ore. The Ajo Cornelia was projected to jump to a population of 10,000 with the completion of a new railroad. Back in Washington, railroad executives were meeting to outline their duties in America's defense. Heads of the leading railroad system and the Council of the National Defense met to discuss cooperation of the transportation industry in the event of war. They agreed that the railroad would be vital during wartime and for the transportation of troops. Well, that was a brief glimpse of Arizona headlines 100 years ago. On this week's Genealogy Corner, I want to tell you about the Brigham Young University Family History Library YouTube channel. Whether you're a beginner to family history research or a seasoned vet, you have a goldmine of resources available for you to use for free at the BYU Family History Library YouTube channel. The video channel currently contains 252 videos. It's managed by approximately 130 part-time volunteers, including one of my personal favorites, James Tanner, who's a real genealogy expert and writer of the blog Genealogy Star. On a side note, it's a great blog that I personally subscribe to. You should check it out. On the BYU YouTube channel, you can use the videos for your own genealogy education as long as videos are not copied. In other words, leave the creative content intact. In the past week, there were 7 new videos posted on the channel. That's 1 per day. When you visit YouTube, just type in BYU Family History Library and the channel will display. You can scan through the videos individually by clicking on videos. However, I prefer to click on the playlist link. Under the playlist tab, you'll see videos with the same subject matter stacked together as a playlist. It's kind of like having an old-fashioned jukebox and playing all the hits of one genre of your favorite music. I find it to be an excellent tool because often you only need help in a particular subject, like, say, military records or legal records. Clicking on the specific playlist allows you to drill down and learn the material of greatest interest to you. It's a quick, simple, and free resource that can help you further your own family history project. If you're like me, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted when a new video has been posted. You never know, it might be just the help you were searching for. Happy hunting! It's time for our segment on Otero Family History. This week, I want to introduce you to the Otero family matriarch, Maria Clara Martinez de Otero. People familiar with the story of the Otero family of Tubac know Maria Clara as the mother of the Otero siblings, who were the last heirs at law of the Otero Spanish land grant of 1789. Her children from eldest to youngest were Francisca, who married Ramon Comaduran, Sabino Otero, who had a child Manuel with Concepcion Ochoa, Maria Manuela, who married Luis Kisi, Maria Elena de Jesus, who married Mauricio Castro, Gabriela, who became Sister Clara Otero, Fernando, who had one child, Maria Rita, with Susana Capan, and Joseph Theophilus Emmanuel Otero, known to all as Teofilo, who had several children. Isidro and Ricardo Otero, with Leonor Capan, sister of Susana Capan, and 4 children named Eduardo, Alberto, Henry, and Ana Brown Otero, with Ana Brown de Sainz. Spouse of Manuel Otero, second lineal descendant of the Otero Spanish land grant, Maria Clara appears to have been a child bride. During colonial Spanish and Mexican periods, child brides were not uncommon. Christian child marriages even occurred during the Middle Ages. Prior to the 20th century, most societies betrothed young girls at or just prior to puberty. Child marriages were often due to cultural, religious, or regional customs. Some girls would be betrothed because of the bride price and dowry that would benefit both families of the bride and groom. Now, Maria Clara was 13 years younger than her husband, Manuel, according to the 1860 census. Born around 1823, Maria was only 14 years old when she gave birth to her eldest child, Francisca. The same census record reports that Maria Clara was illiterate. She did not know how to read or write. Nonetheless, this remarkable Arizona pioneer woman was strong. After her husband Manuel died in 1870 of pneumonia, she can be credited for keeping her family together. Her eldest son Sabino took over the family's financial affairs after his father Manuel's death in 1870, but Clara was the glue that held the family together. She kept house and cared for her 2 young sons, Fernando and Teofilo. In the same home, her daughter Francisca cared for her own daughter, Ana Maria Comadran, and Gabriela helped Maria Clara care for her granddaughter, Brigita Castro. Maria Clara also homesteaded 160 acres at Amado under her own name, according to Tucson Land Office records. Homestead depositions report she first arrived at the property on May 16, 1890, and only left the Amado homestead a few days when she was either sick or for trips to Tucson for supplies. She reported that 4 children lived with her, no other adults. Caring for children at an estimated 67 years of age must have been challenging for anyone. Unable to write, her son Teofilo, a Frank Smith, and grandson-in-law Anthony Cowenin witnessed her X-mark on her Amado homestead papers. James Officer, author of the book Hispanic Arizona 1536 through 1856, stated in a footnote that he suspected that Maria Clara may have belonged to the family of Jose Maria Martinez, the Mexican land grant owner who sold his property to Maria Clara's spouse, Manuel Otero. ArchaeologySouthwest.org reported in its Presidio Family's report that Maria Clara was probably Jose Maria's sister. However, the Sachs collection at the Arizona Historical Society at Tucson reports that Jose Maria Martinez was likely related to Don Toribio de Otero. A close look at documents and dates is, well, inconclusive. No birth or baptismal records have been located to date that can confirm Maria Clara Martinez was Jose Maria Martinez's sister or relative. But the family theory persists. A thesis published as recently as 2011 by the College of Sonora at Hermosillo about Jose Urrea's armed conflict with Manuel Maria Gándara from 1836 to 1845 reports that Maria Clara was likely a relative of Jose Maria Martinez. No specific relation was listed or citations provided. According to the Presidio Families list created by archaeologysouthwest.org, Tubac land grantee Jose Maria Martinez married Filipa Irigoyen in 1833. He received a land grant at Tubac in 1838, and the couple had approximately 10 children from 1836 to 1856. Then Jose Maria married a Jesusa Quintero and had 5 children with her from 1858 to 1865. So it's about here where it starts to get a little confusing. It's been suggested that Jose Maria Martinez, land grantee at Tubac, was allegedly the same person who was later granted the Rancho de Martinez land at San Javier on February 23, 1851, and that he died later in 1874. Jose Maria Martinez conveyed his Tubac land grant to Manuel Otero in 1858 by informal deed. According to the U.S. Surveyor General John Wasson, the land from Martinez to Otero was subsequently formally conveyed by Jose Maria Martinez's sole surviving heir, Dario Martinez, on June 24, 1880. But just 2 years later, the petition for the Jose Maria Martinez Ranch at San Javier was submitted on January 10, 1882, by Nicolas Martinez and co-heirs, claiming to be Jose Maria Martinez's true heirs at law. Dario Martinez was not mentioned. A search for Maria Clara Martinez de Otero's lineage continues. If you have information that can help us clear up this mystery, you can reach me by email at diana.delugan@gmail.com. Okay, it's time for our Arizona History Moment. Last week, we learned about the Mission San Jose de Tumacacori. This week, let's look at one of the most important influences in Arizona's history, the railroads. Over future broadcasts, we'll discuss various railroads, but today, let's look at the year 1882. On November 23, 1882, the Arizona Narrow Gauge Railroad Company was chartered to build a railroad from Tucson, Arizona via Globe, Arizona to the New Mexico line. It also constructed a 20-mile branch into the Deer Creek coal fields. Overall, the railroad consisted of 1 locomotive engine and 11 cars. Its directors included W. H. Culver, president, and J. C. Handy, vice president, both of Tucson. In March of 1887, the Arizona Narrow Gauge Railroad Company issued $3 million in capital stock with a par of $100. The name of the railroad officially changed on November 15, 1887, to the Tucson, Globe, and Northern Railroad Company. The railroad track was anticipated to run from Tucson to Globe and span 110 miles. After the company changed its name, in 1888, it landed a lucrative contract with the Southern Pacific Railroad at 50 cents per ton on all freight. At a time when most freight was being shipped by wagons hauled by teams, it would have been a substantial savings to ship via railroad. By comparison, wagon rates between the Southern Pacific and Globe were being shipped at $35 a ton for merchandise and $10 per ton for hauling copper. At only 50 cents per ton, the Tucson, Globe, and Northern Railroad Company, once running, would likely put many wagon freighters out of business. Unfortunately, once the railroad's name was changed, the Tucson, Globe, and Northern Railroad Company never officially opened. The same year, in 1882, Another railroad named the New Mexico and Arizona Railroad opened. It saw many transformations that allowed it to continue its operations until present day. The most notable was its first transformation in 1934 when the New Mexico and Arizona Railroad changed its name to the Southern Pacific Railroad. What happened to that railroad is a story for another day. For now, we celebrate 1882 as this week's Arizona History Moment. Well, that's all for today. Before I go, here's my takeaways from today's podcast. Today, we learned how important the transportation industry was to an emergent Arizona and the entire United States. When we think back how far transportation has come, it makes me wonder how much further we'll progress during our own lifetimes. My great-grandchildren were born this past year into a world that may never see them driving their own cars, now that self-driving cars have been engineered. Undoubtedly, time marches quickly. Like the changes in transportation, for us, we too must advance. If you have a family history project you've been thinking about, perhaps now is the time to launch your plan. Take action. Even one small step towards your personal goal can ignite your creative juices, bringing you closer to your dream. Let me leave you with this quote from William Barclay. There are two great days in a person's life, the day we are born and the day we discover why. I hope your research helps you find out the whys of life. Well, that's all for today. Please join in on the conversation. Your thoughts are important to me. Feel free to comment or subscribe to this podcast. Thanks for listening. This is Diana DeLugan, Otero Family Historian, signing off. Hasta la próxima.